let's recall our lesson about ratio. So when you say ratio, it is a comparison of between two or more quantities. Now, let's have a new lesson that also relates to ratio. Now, let's read the story for today. A computer school enrollment shows that there are 5 boys for every 10 girls. If there are 1,000 girls, how many are boys? So, if you're going to compare, there are 5 boys in every 10 girls. And if there are 1,000 girls, how many are boys? Now, how to solve this kind of problem? Now, we will talk about proportion. A proportion is a statement that tells 2 or more ratios are equal. It can be written in the form of a fraction form, A over B is equals to C over D, or in a column form, A is to B is equals to C over D. Now, in the proportion, A is to B is equals to C is to D, the outer numbers A and D are called extremes, and the inner numbers B and C are called means. Now, the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. Now, in a proportion, the product, as I've mentioned, the product of the means is equals to the product of the extreme. Cross multiplication is done to find the missing term in a proportion if you're going to use in a fraction form. Now, in this given problem, a computer school enrollment shows that there are 5 boys for every 10 girls. So, if you're going to make it in fraction form, we can write 5 over 10. So 5 boys for every 10 girls is equals to, so see this is the boy as the numerator. The missing part here is also the boy. You put it as letter N. Then for the girls, it is 1,000. Now, to find for the value of n, all you need to do is to cross multiply the 5 and the 1,000 and the 10 and the n. So, if you're going to multiply 1,000 times 5, that is 5,000. Then, multiply 10 times n, we have 10n. To find for the value of n, we divide both sides of the equation to 10, so that on the other side of the equation, it will be the n only, and then so that we can find for the value of n. So 10 divided by 10, that is 1. No need to put here. Then we divide 5,000 divided by 10. So we have 5,000 divided by 10, that is 550. No more remainder, but there's still 2 zeros here, so you may add 0. Therefore, the value of n is 500. So if you're going to ask how many are boys, the answer is 500 boys. So for 1,000 girls, there are 500 boys. Now, if you want also to write it the column form, you can write it like this. 5 is to 10. Okay? Is equals to n is to 1,000. So we are just changing this fraction form to a column form. We have 5 is to 10. This is for the boys, this is for the girls, and then boys, and then girls. Now, to find for the value of n here, all you have to do is to multiply the extremes, which is 5 and the 1,000. So the outer numbers are extreme, and then the inner numbers are the means. So you multiply the means and the extreme. So we have 5 times 1,000, that is 5,000, and then 10 times n is 10n. So it's the same, basically. So 10n is equals to 5,000. So it's the same. You need to divide to 10, so that the remaining on the other side is n. Then 5,000 divided 10, that is 500. So the answer is still the same. So you have 2 options to write it, as we have discussed about ratio. You can write it in a fraction form and then you cross multiply, or you can write it in a column form wherein you multiply the extremes and the means. Now, if the means and extreme are equal, then they are called proportion. So as you can see here, this is 5,000, and then 10 times 500, or 10 times n, which is 500, it is equals to 5,000. So 10 times 500 is 5,000. They are equal. Then the answer is correct, and they are called proportion. Let's have more examples. Now, tell whether the two ratios are proportion. So as you can see, there are no missing term in this proportion. All we need to do is to check if two ratios are proportion. How? We just have to multiply. All you have to do is to multiply the means and then the extreme, and if they are equal, then they are called proportion. So we have 6 times 3, it is 18, and then 9 times 21, that is 9, 189. So it's very obvious that the two ratios are not equal, because when we multiply the means and the extreme, they are not equal. So the answer here is not proportion. Next, tell whether the two ratios are proportion. We have 4:3 is equals to 32:24. So again, you multiply the means and the extremes. If they are equal, then they are proportion. So we have 32 times 3, we have 6, this is 96. So this is 96, and we have 24 times 4, this is 16, carry 1, it's also 96. So the two ratios are proportion. So this is the answer, proportion. Now, another one, tell whether the two ratios are proportion. We have 3:5 is equals to 9:15. We have 5 times 9 is 45. 3 times 15 it's also 45. So they are equal. Then the answer is proportion. Next, what is the missing term in the proportion? So as you can see, 24:n is equals to 6:4. So again, how to find for the missing term? All you have to do is to multiply the product of the means and the product of the extreme. So we have, first we multiply this. 24 times 4, we have 24 times 4, that is 16, carry 1, that's 96. Then, multiply the 6 and n, we have 6n. So we have 6n is equals to 96. So whatever is the value of n, when you multiply it to 6, it should be equal to 96. So by doing that, to find for the value of n, you divide both sides of the equation by 6, so that the remaining on the other side will be n, because 6 divided by 6 is 1. So 96 divided by 6 is 1, 6, 36, 6, 36, no more remainder. Therefore, the answer or the value of n is 16. Let's check if it's the same. So 16 times 6, 36, carry 3, 6 times 3 is 9. So they are equal, 96. Then the two ratios are proportion. And your answer is correct. So to check if your answer is correct, all you have to do is to substitute the value of n to the answer, and then multiply and make sure it's equal to the other, the product of the means or the extreme. Another missing term. So we have 6 and 5:6 is equals to 20:n. You multiply the means, then the extremes. So 6 times 20, that is 120, and then the 5 times n is 5n. So we have 5n is equals to 120. Divide both sides of the equation by 5, then the remaining is n. So you can get the value of n. We have 120 divided by 5, that is 2, 10, 20, that is 4, 20, no more remainder. Therefore, the value of n is 24. So the missing term in the proportion is 24. So if you want to check if it is correct, you multiply 24 times 5. It should be equal to 120. So 24 times 5, 20, carry 2, it's 120. So your answer is correct. Or our answer is correct. Another one, we have 3:6 is equals to n:36. You need to multiply always the means and the extreme regardless of where is the missing term. So the missing term, it can be here, it can be here, here, or here. So as long as you need to follow the process of multiplying the extremes and the means. Okay, so we have 36 times 3. We have 18 carry 1, 108. So 108, and then this one is 6n. So equate 6n is equals to 108. Divide both sides to 6. We have n is equals to 108 divided by 6. That is 1, 6, 48. That is 8. So the answer is 18. Missing term is 18. Another one, what is the missing term in the proportion? N is to 12 is equals to 15 is to 36. So you multiply this and you multiply this. So we have 36n is equals to 12 times 15, 10 carry 1, 6, to 1, 180. So this is 180 and this is 36n. We have divide both sides to 36 so that the remaining would be n, and we can find for the value of n. So we have 180 divide 36, that is 5. Okay, so this is 30, 15, 18. Okay, so no more remainder. Therefore, the value of n is 5. Oh, let's check if it's really 5, if our answer is correct. So multiply 36 times 5. We have 30, 15, 18. So it's the same as the product of the means. Okay. Next, we have here n is to 8 is equals to 18 is to 16. Multiply the product of the means and the extreme. We have 16n is equals to 18 times 8. We have 64, 6, 144. Okay, so equate, divide to 16. Okay, so 144 divided by 16, that is, it's 9. Let's try. 54 carry 5, yeah, it's 14. So no more remainder, therefore the value of n is 9. So again, to check if the two ratios are proportion, all you have to do is to multiply the means, which are the inner numbers, and multiply the extremes, which are the outer numbers. Now, if their products are equal, therefore the two ratios are proportion.